Hi everyone, this is Kelly and I'm here to do a walkthrough of the Divine Feminine Tarot Deck and Guidebook. I actually, you're probably, my nails may not look the same. There may be a shift here. I'm actually not doing this full walkthrough tonight, but I started to open it up to take a peek at it because before I was going out of town and I just wanted to take a look at it. So I thought, okay, I'll break the seal. Like, that's no big deal. I'll just go ahead and break the seal on it so I can look at it. But then when I opened up the box, the deck is packaged so gorgeously that I'm like, okay, now I need to stop and at least film opening it up so that I have that, because I love, now this deck is created by a creator, and I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong. Kokorina is what it's made, who is made by. The card meanings in the book is by Jenna Opsel, and again, I may be saying that incorrectly. I have a couple things by Kokorina already, and so when she contacted me about doing a look at this deck, I was like, sure, of course, because I already know that her stuff is beautiful. So my friend Patrick, a couple years ago for my birthday, got me a Rune Deck by her. Now the Rune Deck is still in stock, or it's been brought back into stock. It is different than the one that I have, but it's the same sort of card stock and everything like that, and it's absolutely stunning. So let me grab that actually. Again, this is looks different now. I'll put a link to her website. The back, from my understanding, is black on this, but this is my favorite Rune Deck. I am a Rune caster more than a Rune deck user, but I have found the joy of having a Rune Deck from having this deck, and it's really quite gorgeous. And you can see she tends to have a powerful theme of gold and black that's just stunning. So I have had this for a while. It sits down in my ancestor space, so I use it on my altar spaces, and I love it. It is my most, I have a couple Rune decks now, but this is the one that I use the most. And then this year I purchased, and I didn't even realize that this is who this was, but I purchased the Elephant for 2021, and this is by her as well. So I purchased this as my planner, and I am loving it. I started this in, I don't want to show it because I haven't gone through and marked anything out, but I did a walkthrough of this already. It's very well used. It's my everything. I love this. I started in December, so I've used it December, January, February, March. So I've used it 4 months now, and I absolutely love it. I will most definitely be getting next year's. And so I had purchased that. Of course, my friend had purchased this for my birthday. So I had already of a couple of her things, and I knew that her quality was just kind of crazy amazing. And so I guess it shouldn't have surprised me so much to open this up and see. I just have, is this necessary in a deck? Of course it is not. Is it enjoyable? Oh yes, it's so enjoyable. I've never had one like this where you literally pull it out by its ribbon, right? And this is what unwraps the tissue paper to get into the deck. Like, I don't even want to rip that, but I'm a ripper open of gifts. And even the tissue paper is just gorgeous. Like, I'm going to save some of that for paper crafting because that is just gorgeous. And it's just beautifully wrapped up here with the deck. So again, I wasn't planning on opening this up tonight, but I couldn't help it when I saw that. I was like, it's like the little luxuries in life, right? It is a treat. Do you need this? No, they're perfectly powerful decks that just come very simple. But there is quite a joy in opening something like that, I will also say. So this is a Divine Feminine Tarot deck in Nocturnal. again by Kokorina here. So we have a black box on the inside and this kind of gold, earthy, almost crystal looking on the inside. Lots of gold. You can see the gold foiling, which she, everything I have of her, or both of those things that I have of hers, has gold foiling on them. They're just beautiful. And then we can see the gold on the edge. Let's just take a look at them. Watch, I'll end up doing a walkthrough of this anyways, even though I really don't have time tonight. But, you know, it may happen. It may happen. Okay, there's definitely like a little tab thing, and I never get the... I feel like these types of things would be so satisfying, like old gum wrappers, like where you could pull it, but they never ever work for me. I just don't think I ever pull them correctly. Whew. Like that cardstock. It's not matte. It's not like a sticky matte or anything like that. It's more of a satiny feel. It makes me really want to shuffle it. It's thin, but feels really gorgeous. And it definitely makes me want to give it a shuffle, which we can't do until we take a look at it. Here are the backs. Again, that it almost looks like tiger eye crystal, or something like that on the back. We have the gorgeous like high gold sheen on the sides, which I'm not a huge fan of super high sheen gilding. I know it's all the thing, but I will say in her things, gold and the gilding makes a lot of sense because it just goes with the overall aesthetic. I would say this is like a satin. Like, it is not matte, but it is not glossy in any way, shape, or form other than in the gold parts. It's actually quite beautiful. I'm very interested in shuffling this. I'm so wanting to shuffle it before I've walked through it. So it comes with a separate little guidebook here, tarot deck guidebook, gorgeous paper stock. Again, she makes, you know, beautiful things. So my expectation is that it is going to be gorgeous. She says here, thank you so much for choosing the Divine Feminine deck as your tarot. This is a deck I've been working on day and night for over a year. I've never imagined a more demanding project, but to be honest with you, I do it 10 more times. This has been one of the most fulfilling and complete projects I've worked so far. So she definitely says here that she is new to tarot, but she feels like in this process she has grown so much. Her love for the Divine Feminine, the appreciation I have for the women's strength, the beauty of her spirit and body, and her deep connection to the universe and reflection to the moon have led me to create this deck and dedicate it to all of you. The Divine Feminine invites us to be receptive, to be open and inclusive, go deep inside of ourselves and face our shadows. The Divine Feminine lies within all of us, no matter your gender, just like there is a bit of yin and the yang. For the past 1,000 years, she has been repressed, cast into shadows, and left without a safe place to express herself and her gifts fully. The Divine Feminine is energy. She is the feminine in all living things on earth, including the ocean, moon, and trees. In her most authentic nature, she is nurturing, motherly, and affectionate. She represents beauty, sensuality, attraction, creativity, and inspiration in its purest form. She is pure peace and harmony. She is intuitive and fully open to receive. She is already in you. All you have to do is remember who you truly are. And then she says in the following pages, Karina is her name, I'm sharing some information to introduce you to the art of tarot. I deeply thank my friend Jenna Opsahl for being such an inspiration and working on these beautifully written card explorations. So it goes into the history of tarot I love, that it explains the name, it explains that it comes, talks about the card playing coming and traveling from China, talks about the earliest references, talks about the game that is there and with tarot, and it just kind of goes through the history as I see. She does talk about the Rider-Waite-Smith, and and how he drew his. Weight base his major arcana imagery on the Eliphas Levi's and Paul Christian's Egyptianized descriptions of the trumps and Christian symbolism and Golden Dawn astrological attributions. His divinatory meanings draw heavily from Atella. Smith was the first artist to use characters as representative images, and I disagree with that, but that is something that gets told a lot. We definitely have descriptive characters in decks in the minors before Rider-Waite-Smith. Instead of explaining how that is, the deck became instantly popular and to approach it in a way it illustrates free association approach, blah, 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 blah. So I like the history of this all the way up to that part, but it is a common misconception, and maybe it's just a personal my personal way of seeing it. But we do have, even as far back as the my brain is blanking out because it's actually the end of a long day. I wasn't planning on doing this. The Solabusca had images of people in their minors, and we have other decks before that as well. Certainly many of them, most of them did not, but it wasn't the first. Talks about, gives us some tarot spreads, single card, daily insight, a 3-card, a new month one, the Celtic cross, and then goes into the cards. And so with the cards, it looks like we have 2 pages for each. We have an image of the card in black and gold, as the cards are. We have some keywords. We have a little bit of descriptor, like the Fool balances at the edge of the clouds, preparing to leap into the unknown. And then we have a paragraph here. The Fool carries her potential in her pack and her innocence in the rose she grasps. She knows not what comes next, but she is ready to begin a new journey. The Fool is the eternal soul, constantly starting a new adventure and taking leaps into the unknown. This card is an invitation to walk boldly and excitedly towards something new and to relish in the exhilaration of leaping. So we have that for each of the majors. Let me take a peek over here at the minors. The minors look to be the same. So you have the image, you have the keywords, and then you have a lot of descriptor here, and then a card here, a description of the card there. So you have that all the way through. I don't want to give away too many of them. And then you have the about section, about Jenna here. Doesn't have it about Karina. I don't know if it's Karina or Corinna. I apologize if I messed that up. So it's beautiful. It is, the paper is luxurious. The typesetting and the look of it all is gorgeous. It's not going to give you a ton here. It's going to help if you, give you more nuance if you know tarot already. But I do think it's enough to give you a key into what the card means if you are new, which is helpful there. So let's take these. Again, here are the backs. It to me looks like tiger eye. It's really gorgeous, and I happen to really love the Fool already. So let me take this and zoom in here. Let's zoom in a little bit more. I like to give myself a little room for it to slip about, but then still and be able to see as much as possible. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but there is gilding like on the moon, but there's also gilding around this border, the simple border, and there are little dots of gilding even within the stars. So it's not just on the border, but it seems to be highlighting, and you can see that in the other ones as well. Now I'm going to peek here and see if this, yeah, it looks like when you fan it out, can you see all of the stars? So the whole deck takes place in the blackness of the stars, which I love. Oh, I love that Knight of Wands. Anyways, we're peeking ahead. So the whole thing is in the darkness of a starry sky, which I absolutely love. I do a lot of work with dark night skies and healing work, and this feels absolutely gorgeous. Okay, I apologize for the nail color change. There's nothing to be said other than that it is a new day, but that's okay. We're going to start to work our way through. I have shuffled this deck now. It's wonderful to shuffle, and I have used this deck a little bit, and so I will kind of wrap up my feelings about that at the end, but it's been kind of nice to be able to play around with it a little bit in between, I guess. Got the initial reaction just to the opening, but then I have played around with the deck since then. So here we have the Fool card, as we already talked about and looked at the guidebook with. I again quite like the look of this. I will say that there is something it's because it's obviously a divine feminine deck, right? So you're tapping into goddess energy, but it feels like a youthful, almost I wouldn't say inner child, but there is a sweetness to this deck that I didn't expect. And it's really quite touching. I've had some quite touching readings with it, and it hits on a sweetness, supportive sweetness level that I find to be quite intriguing. So I quite enjoyed that about this. So here we have the Magician. Of course, all of the cards in here depict female forms. It is the Divine Feminine Tarot. Make sure I'm calling it the right name. Yes, the Divine Feminine Tarot deck in Nocturnal is this one, just to remind myself and everybody. So all of the cards will have women in them, so I'm not going to keep talking about that. What I do like is that from what I could tell, and we'll see as we go along, I don't think any of the titles have changed, and I actually find that I enjoy that. I prefer the traditional titles to stay there, even if they're using female forms for depicting the cards. So that might bother some people, but actually I enjoy that. So here we have the Magician. She has her wand. She has her cloak of stars. This is Rider-Waite-Smith base. You can see I like the connection in with that. Now see, this is a great way to look at these. Here are two cards, right, that in some ways we have the Magician, right, and then you'd think, okay, a female magician, are we going to see a difference between the inner magician and the magician and the inner power of the High Priestess? And I feel like you really do. She's actually facing and gesturing outward in this, and in this one you really have the sense of the seer, right, with the kind of blank eyes here. Now this one's eyes are closed where they're drawing power, but they're manifesting it outward, whereas this one really does feel like a seer. She is going inward and she is drawing from her knowledge and her power in this. And so I really think that the creator did a wonderful job in making these look like the energies that they are, even though we have two females there. Here we have the Empress. I love the moon in her. Of course, this is all celestial, right? So there's lots of stars and lots of moons. Even in ones like we have the crescent moon where we're feeling here where we wouldn't normally have in the Magician, or we have the moon here shining in the hair of the Empress. We also have that idea of the star crown, but it is much more goddess in feeling. Like this feels like Empress goddess energy. I quite love the abundance of her hair flowing, and it does feel very goddess based on this one. And then the Emperor comes in and is much more structured, even though they're both busts that are in the night sky, and yet they still do, and they both have moon energy here. We feel there is a more structured, looking straight out at you, a much more contained hair energy here, and it feels like an emperor expression of the goddess versus an empress expression of the goddess. So I think that she did a really good job with that. Here we have the Hierophant in very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, just putting it into the celestial aspect. And so now we have more of the dogma or the belief or the system potentially of belief versus the energy behind the goddess energy, right? And so you have certainly the nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith Hierophant, but keeping it in the celestial space. Here we have the Lovers with the Sun and the Moon combined. I think this is beautiful. I love that we have the stars here and the lack of the stars here. Again, this is very toned, right? We don't really have color besides ranges of gold, and some of the darker golds go into almost like a brown gold. So you have tones of gold, and then actual gilding and black, and you know, obviously some whites, light colors there, but that still isn't white. So we have like a range of yellow gold tones and black, and so well, we've got little spots of color, but then primary colors here, and so it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. There's something about this deck. I knew that I would think that it was beautiful and well done, but I didn't actually think that it would kind of hit a feels spot, just because I don't tend to use all female decks or male decks, either one. So far, as you can see, the images are quite youthful, which is, goddess energy, although I do think of crone goddess energy too. So it feels like this would be for a younger person than me on the outer, if I'm just looking at this deck from a perspective, just kind of an analytical perspective, I would think that this would be a deck for a younger person, a younger woman. And yet it really touches me in that youthful space of myself. And again, there's a sweetness about it that just, it touches me. Here's the Chariot. I love it more than the traditional chariots with the big giant chariot just plopped there. I don't see a lot of movement. Like she's definitely walking. And I suppose because this is divine feminine, she is in complete control of the energies around her, right? She's not really having to struggle with that at all. Here we have Strength. Again, I just think this is beautiful. There is just such a connection and a binding and a, almost like the animal is either coming out or sinking into. It's just beautiful. I really do think it's gorgeous. Here we have the Hermit. I like the kind of use of the hair almost turning into fabric, and we do get that hood. We have the staff, we have the lantern. Again, this is a very youthful hermit, even for a female. And this deck is very youth figured oriented. And so we have almost like here now the Fool here is just pulling on the mantle of the Hermit here. But it's sweet. Here we have the Wheel of Fortune, which I think is gorgeous. Again, if you've watched my videos, you know I don't generally love Wheel of Fortune cards. I don't mind them, but there's not usually the one that's like, oh, I love that card. And I actually really do. This theme, this celestial theme, really works well for the Wheel of Fortune, and it's just gorgeous. Here we have Justice. Again, I think this is beautiful. I really like the crescent moon throughout a lot of these. I like the crown of energy kind of going off. We have the sword. I like the twisted sword here. And I love, obviously we have the scales there as well. So it has a very Lady Fortuna almost feel as well. Fortune follows justice or something. Here we have a beautiful hanged person. Again, her hair seems to really be utilized and wraps all the way down her leg, and she's hanging from her own hair. Here, a very flexible hanged one, but it's just stunning. The rays that we now see in hanged men, they did change this to hanged one. That I think is lovely. It doesn't really change anything for me, so I can see why they might do that. I kind of prefer that either way. But I really like the accenting of the crown, or the shining off of the mind. This is most definitely the modern, fresh perspective, putting yourself in that position, more of the Odin, Jesus kind of connotations versus the traitor or the consequence of the older hanged ones. But it's really beautiful. Here we have death, which is gorgeous on a couple different layers. I love seeing the third eye open here. I love that it seems that we are seeing a skull mask over a face. You can see the closed eyes here. So we have these sort of layers of what is death really, states of being, that I think is gorgeous. Simple but gorgeous. Here we have Temperance balancing on the moon as well as the energies in the hand. Love this Devil card. I do think this is really gorgeous. We have sword. Let's see if it says, does it tell us anything in the guidebook? I really like this image. Let's see. Let's see if it tells us anything about what is in the hands. Hecate, the triple goddess of witchcraft and Crossroads, embodies an integration of light and darkness, overworld and underworld. With this card, she asks you to descend into the underworld to confront your shadow self. But fear not, for just as because that would be, because it almost looks more like an onion, but I have bad eyesight. You know, the one was very clearly a pomegranate, but this could also be the, this could also kind of feel like the harvesting energy or the spring energy of growing of Demeter with Persephone on the other side as well. But fear not, for just as she watched over Persephone's descent, she will watch over yours too. The things that lurk in darkness are not to be feared, and the sooner you confront your false beliefs, anxieties, and shame, the sooner you will be able to find the sacred power within the hidden parts of yourself. Your shadow self holds great power, and the keywords are shadow, power, and freedom with the Devil. So I just think that's a really powerful image there. Here we have the Tower. We have the falling from the heavens into the water, which I think is really, again, a celestial. So we don't have a physical tower here, but I really love this idea of falling from the heavens into the water, which I think is really gorgeous. Here we have the Star. Again, very beautiful. I do love the outstretched hand and then it balanced there on the elbow like that. Very well balanced. Moon is gorgeous. Like, I mean, that's pretty much what I can say about every card. It really is gorgeous artwork, right? It's beautiful. The use of color is expertly done. Obviously, this is a very an amazing artist here. So the use of the minimal colors is beautiful. The line work is simple but beautiful. The stars showing up, the clouds that are brought in here is gorgeous. The use of the hair in all of these cards is just beautiful. So it's just beautiful. Here we have the Sun. I actually really love this. I like that there is an adult, there is a baby as well. We can see both the beginnings of happiness and the fulfillment of happiness as well in the mother and the child. So that's an interesting one because we don't often see that in Sun cards. We might see that in the Empress card, but I would say that we don't normally see that in a Sun, and I think it's really beautiful in a Divine Feminine deck. Here we have Judgment. We have what is interesting to me about this is that she's blowing the horn, but she's not down on earth blowing the horn. So we have that traditional imagery there, this is probably my least favorite, in the sense that I can't really take her too seriously. The way she's laying and the horn is blowing up, like I don't really see her calling anybody to judgment. But it's kind of joyful feeling, which I don't really I see so much. There's not the weight of revelation, forgiveness, acceptance. Like it doesn't quite have the solemnity of that, if I might say. But it's pretty. It's very pretty. I love this world. She looks very powerful. She looks like a Greek, somebody who's going to be in like the Greek games or something like that. Like I feel like she is very strong. You have the planetary signs in the corners here, and it's really gorgeous. What else is there to say? No, they're all just gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to keep all the aces out so we can look at them together. Here we have the 2, so we're still up in the celestial realm. We haven't dropped into earth. This is still the divine goddess. She is, you know, there's still, you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith setting the path and making the plans. I actually really love this 3 of Wands. We see a building up of energy. 3 is a number of growth for me, and so the kind of waiting for your ships to come of the Rider-Waite-Smith doesn't quite work for me, whereas this really works quite well for me. I love that. Here we have beautiful 4 of Wands. I love the celebration. Again, I like the use of hair being used almost in together with the as the ribbons and the garland here. There is a celebratory feel about their body postures. Here we have the 5. Now this is interesting because the 5 is a disruptive number. And generally with the 5 of Wands in Rider-Waite-Smith, so I might have to take back this having really purely Rider-Waite-Smith, because I'm not seeing that all the way. Any conflict that is happening here is going to be an inner conflict. Let's just see what the keywords are for, let me get to the Wands. I put them into my own order here. Yeah, 3 of Wands, expansion, progress, and self-exploration. Conflict, miscommunication, and pride. So many hands hold many wands, and conflicts are sure. So we have the multiple hands here that are if everybody's trying to use the wands in different directions, it's going to be conflicting. I would say that the image itself doesn't feel disruptive in any way, but it almost feels like the answer to the conflict of the wands is to sort of go inward and center that energy. So I could certainly use that. Again, love these pip likes, right? The 6 of Wands is gorgeous, coming in and harmonizing and balancing things out. The 7 of Wands, again, you have that Rider-Waite-Smith of standing your ground, but it has a very pip-like feel, which is a plus for me. Here we have the 8 of Wands, sense of mastery. I actually do like people in the 8 of Wands, because I don't read the 8 of Wands as swiftness, but of mastery of self. So all of this fire energy is just lined up and in alignment with this woman here. And so we do have that sense of mastery more than swiftness, which is, again, how I read. 9 of Wands. Holding the line and or pip card. I am a fan. I hope all of the numbers show out this way. Here we have the 10 of Wands, having gathered all of that power together. It can be overwhelming, but can also be greatly used. You don't have so much that burden feel as in Rider-Waite-Smith, but that works for me. Here we have the Page, manifesting her energy. We have all of the knights, I believe, are on broomsticks. I'm going to hold on to that. Here we have the Queen of Wands with her lioness. And then the King of Wands with the male lion. So we do have the male and female expression of the wands in that sense. The masculine female and the feminine female energy, which we have both, remember. So I actually like how she did that. I'm going to see if that plays out in the other suits. Here we have the Ace of Swords, again, very traditional. I really like this combined wrapped spiraled sword. Visually, I just really like that. Beautiful 2 of Swords. Perfect for me, 3 of Swords. This feels like somebody who is learning from their experiences. 4 of Swords, taking a break and a rest and centering. 5 of Swords. Now see, this has a much more conflicted, right? If we are not careful, the way that we utilize our words can actually hurt ourselves. That's quite powerful, actually. 6 of Swords balances things out. 7 of Swords. I love this. These minors are very pip-like, but I think for people who do prefer scenic minors, I do believe it gives you the energy that you need as well. What's going on beneath the surface for me. Here we have the 8 of Swords, very powerful. She is going to have no problem getting herself out of the situation. I don't see her particularly being bound, but I do think that she is not going to have an issue here. She is the divine feminine. Nine of Swords, she has all of this dynamic energy of the mind. And then the Ten of Swords is gorgeous. They are piercing within her, but the body language for me really speaks of the full completion of the Suit of Swords, much more than, you know, somebody laying dead on the ground. So again, as a pips, you know, I think it's a beautiful cross between a scenic minors and a pips so far in these two suits. Here we have the Page of Swords, again wielding the power, just like the Page of Wands was wielding the wand. We have the Knight, again on the broomstick. We have that witch energy come into play. I love this Queen of Swords. You know, the Queen is Queen of Swords is one of my significator cards, so I always look there. I love her on the moon here. And then the King of Swords. So we don't have that animal energy bringing in the masculine and feminine, but I do still think they're beautiful. I'm sorry about my dog. I will go get her to be quiet. We'll see if any other animals show up with the King and the Queens. Okay, so here we have the Ace of Cups. Again, it's just beautiful. I do like, there are some mermaids in the cup suit, which I quite love. We have the two cups and the energy combining there. We have the traditional Three of Cups, that sort of sisterhood and raising our cups together. We have the Four of Cups. I do like this, that she doesn't necessarily look bored. She just looks content, which is how I read the Four of Cups. Here we have the Five of Cups. We have the sadness here. We have cups that have spilled out, but she's holding a very full cup as well. So we can see those Rider-Waite connections there. Here we have the Six of Cups. It's almost like she's dreaming and she's remembering all of these like dreams are sloshing about in her memory, and she's remembering that time. I do kind of like the Man in the Moon kind of feel. It gives it a little bit of innocence as well. Here we have the Seven of Cups. We've got mask, we've got a skull, we've got a crown, we've got the sun and the moon, or the stars and the moon. We have a pomegranate, I believe. We have a snake here. Here we have the Eight of Cups. I am never a fan of like moon heads. Like, that's just not my fan favorite here. But she's going on an inner journey, and it's a journey of the mind, and so I can really see that here. Doesn't she have a tear on her face? Let me pull this up. I can't even see it in there. She almost looks a little bit sad there, but I do think that it shows that this is, and even though she's going upwards into the stars, I think it definitely shows that it is an inward journey. Beautiful Nine of Cups, contentment, at a space in which she can utilize all of her wishes. It's just really beautiful. Powerful Ten of Cups. I like her hands up in the air. I like the water that is going from cup to cup to cup to cup. I think it's beautiful. Again, you could say this with all these cards. It's beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. And I don't mean it to sound like that, because it just truly is beautiful. I love the page. She's utilizing the energy of water, her energy, just like we've seen in the other pages. I just love her arts, you know, this kind of beautiful, flowy, illustrated style. She often does it with the hair, but you look at that tail with all these little fine things coming out as well. It just really is beautifully done. Here we have the Knight. Now the Knight of Cups is not riding on a broomstick. Beautiful Queen of Cups. Who does not like a mermaid in a moon? And a very powerful King of Cups. So again, I do think, even though we're not seeing a male and a female, I definitely believe her kings really embody that structured energy differently, and sets it apart from the queens, and you can really see it there, which I think is well done. Here we have the Pentacles, the Ace. Beautiful, beautiful. It might be my favorite of the aces. Beautiful Two of Pentacles. I like when there is something that looks like land, that it's water in this deck. I think that that goes really beautifully with the moon cycles energy there as well. Here we have the Three of Pentacles working together. We have a beautiful Four of Pentacles. I don't read Four of Pentacles as greediness, but a time to hold on to your resources, and this very much feels like that. Five of Pentacles. You again have the nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it still feels very Pip-like. I'm actually super pleased with the minors. Six of Pentacles. I like this because you don't really have the sense, while yes, you have the one dropping the coin or holding the scale, but you also have the other two balancing the scale. It's not that this is a rich person with a poor person, but that it is energy of working together here and a synergy of give and take. Beautiful Seven of Pentacles. I do really like the use of these flowers in these. I wish they were in all of the Pentacles. I think that would be really pretty, but I do love that. Have patience. This is gorgeous. Mastery. You often will see a web in Eight of Pentacles cards, and I love that, but this is super powerful. That might be one of my favorite cards. Nine of Pentacles, I love with the bird here. The Ten of Pentacles. That sort of energy that's going to self-perpetuate and continue on. Page of Pentacles, again, love these flowers. Knight of Pentacles. I love the hairs in the Queen of Pentacles. And then we have the King of Pentacles, just this upward growth here. Energy. Queen and the King. Okay, let me zoom out here. I just have a couple piles here. I think that the aces are gorgeous. They really are indicative of the art. I actually think the pages, I wish I would have kept all the pages out, but I actually really liked all of the pages. They really seem to be utilizing the energy of their suit, learning to work with it. But I do think that these aces are particularly beautiful. This is stunning. I like them all, but this is my favorite because I really like those moon flowers that are there with the aces. All of the Pentacles, but the all of the Knights, I'm sorry, except for the Knight of Cups are on broomsticks. Now, I'm guessing that's because it's got its tail, so it's going to move on the energy of its tail. I would have liked them to have all been on broomsticks just because of the uniformity of seeing those and seeing Knight, but I can see why that wasn't. They're all beautiful. The Kings and the Queens I thought maybe would follow suit with the Lions here, which they don't, but I have to say I do think the energy of the Kings and Queens do have a feeling of a shift between the energy of the Queens and the Kings, despite obviously having all female. So I think that that's really well done. I'm really like the majors were gorgeous, but generally, let's be honest, the majors generally always are gorgeous in decks. So I'm personally more interested in the minors because those can be the ones, whoops, let me zoom out here. Those can be the ones for me that cause the issue. I don't generally have much of an issue with the majors. So I was actually quite pleased. This shuffles like I don't know what. It shuffles amazingly. Oh, it's definitely slippy, but it shuffles like a dream. So anyways, as I was saying, the minors really, I love that the minors were Pip-like. There was certainly the connotations or the You could see the hints of the Rider-Waite-Smith, although she did go off kind of in a different direction on a couple, which I approved of. But you can see the scenicness of them. You can tell what's happening, but they also had a very pip-like feel, which leaves them very open for people like myself that read numerologically plus the element. So I felt like these were all 100% workable and not a stretch at all for me in reading the way that I read the minors. So that's a big bonus for someone like me to see that. So that was a joy to see, actually. So quite pleased. I think it's gorgeous. Again, they're all young, they're all beautiful, they're all lithe, but they're goddesses. I don't mind too much that. And again, it feels like, I thought it would feel like a deck that was too young for me. Doesn't appeal to me. But I've done several readings for myself with this deck, and I actually find it to be really sweet, and I find it to be really nurturing in a way that I kept reaching for it after I did. I did a couple just to kind of get a feel for it, but I kept reaching for the cards, reaching for the deck in a way that I didn't actually think that maybe I would, and it just kind of provides a it's very clean and clear because it does have an almost pip-like quality, and there's not, while there's a lot of things on the image because there's stars and there's suns and there's moon, there is a kind of cleanness because there's not a ton going on to the scene, and so that really does leave it open, have an open feel but supportive. And there's for me a sweet supportiveness about it that was unexpected. Just gonna lay these out in my version of the Celtic cross. It's really beautiful. And I wouldn't even need, just great card size. I wouldn't have to stick it all the way up there. I'm still not quite trusting and used to the fact that I don't need to overlap like I've always had to with my older camera. My new camera, I don't really have to do that, and I have to remember that I don't have to do that. So look at that. I mean, it really is okay. I can't get it close enough, but not cutting it off. It really is just beautiful. So there you go. It's one of those proofs that, oh, look at this. There are bats. There are bats in this Knight of Wands. I really love that. I did not see that before. Can you see? That's pretty cool. And now I'm going to have to go back and see if there were bats in any of the other, like of the courts. I don't think so. I didn't notice them, but that doesn't mean I didn't obviously notice them there. So I'll have to start looking closer for that, for that animal energy there. So anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed this. I have certainly enjoyed my experience with this deck, and I hope that, whether or not you decide this is a deck for you or not, that you've at least enjoyed seeing the way another artist has chosen to depict the wonder that is the tarot deck.